All right, yesterday we talked about measurement. I gave you an introduction on measurement, and you have your anchor chart there that we made, and hopefully I'm going to be seeing more of those turned in. And what you were supposed to put a picture next to all of the measurements. So what would you measure milliliters in millimeters? What would you measure in centimeters? What would you measure in decimeters? And just down the list for metric and for customary. Remember, US uses customary measurements. Pretty much everywhere else in the world uses metric. Don't ask me why. Do a little research and see if you can find out why. Because base 10, which is metric, base 10 seems to be a little bit easier than customary. Customary, you have to kind of memorize some of the things we're going to go over today and when converting. So why convert? When you're in the kitchen and you're reading a recipe, this has happened to me before. Like maybe I want to double my recipe, and the recipe calls for 2 teaspoons or 4 teaspoons or something, and I want to convert those teaspoons to tablespoons because tablespoons are bigger. So I have to know how to convert and how many teaspoons are in 1 tablespoon. Or same with how many cups are in a quart or a pint. How many pints in a quart? Okay, so we're going to go over that today, and I want you guys to have your paper out and ready to go again. And go ahead and get this at the top, rules for converting measurement. And really, it's pretty simple. We're going to do 2 little clouds, and you should have that in front of you also, but I want you to write it again because that helps kind of engrave it into your brain. So we're going to write, so the larger unit in 1 cloud. Oh, can you see that? Not very well, huh? What about here? Can you see that? There we go. Larger unit on this side, and put it inside of a cloud. And then the smaller units, we're going to go on this side and put it inside of a cloud. Okay, all you have to remember when converting your measurement, if you have a larger unit and they want it in a smaller unit, so let's say they have a foot and they want to know how many inches that is. Inches are smaller than feet. Okay, so foot would be the larger unit, inches would be the smaller unit. Okay, so then what you would do is you would multiply the larger unit to get the smaller unit by whatever, and that's what we're going to go over. So multiply. Okay, multiply. Now, if they give you a smaller unit and they want it in a larger unit, so they give you inches, but they want it in feet, then you are going to, what's the opposite of multiply? Yep, divide. So you're going to divide. So, divide. Okay? So that's it. Now we just have to know what to multiply by, what to divide by. So rules for converting measurement. You have your larger unit, multiply to get the smaller unit. If you have the smaller unit, you divide to get the larger unit. And we're going to talk a lot about that and go over that a lot throughout this measurement unit. So you should have that packet for ND1. That's what we're doing. Okay, I'm going to pause, let's see. I'm going to pause the video for a second and erase my board. So get another piece of paper ready to go. Okay, so now we have converting length. And again, that's on this handout that you have. Should be the second page in your packet. And we are going to take a look at that bottom right one where it says converting length. And we're going to talk about converting length in metric and converting length in customary as well. So again, customary is used in the US. And if you look right here, US, you could underline that US in customary to help you remember that. Okay, so let's take a look at our metric. Now metric, like I said, is base 10. So it's fairly easy to learn. You just have to remember that 10, 100, 1000. That's all you have to remember. And you have to remember the root words of things, or the prefix of things, like kilo, deci, centi, all milli. You need to remember what those are. So as we go through that, I'm going to write the largest to the smallest unit. Okay, so I'm going to write kilometer, and then I'm going to write meter. This is kind of our base right here. This right here, I'm going to underline that. That's kind of our base unit. So our meter, centimeter, and millimeter. Okay, so with that, I'm going to, remember when you're going from the larger unit to the smaller unit, looking back at your page that you just wrote, the notes that you just took, we multiply or divide. Good, we multiply going this direction. So I'm going to draw my arrows. Okay, we're going this direction. And it's going to be multiplying each time. But by how much? Okay, so we are going to go from kilometer to meter. Kilo. Kilo means 1,000. Kilo means 1,000. And kilometer is the biggest measurement we're talking about in metric right now. So kilometer, you would multiply by 1,000 to get the answer in meters. Okay? Now we're going to go from meters to centimeters. When you're going from meters to centimeters, century, centi means 100. Okay, centi means 100. There's 100 cents in a dollar. There's 100 years in a century, cent. Okay, so centi means 10, so that means we're going to, 100, sorry, 100 years, 100 cents. Got it. Sorry, 100, misspoke. Okay, meters to centimeters, you would multiply by 100. And then centimeters to millimeters, centi to milli. Centi is 100. So if I wrote down 100, that's centi. Milli means 1,000. So if I look at these two numbers, and thinking of our base 10 operations that we have done in the past, and I've taught you the zeros trick, looking at this, what would we multiply to get to milli? How many more zeros are there? Okay, so there's 1 0, and then what number does 1 0? A number with 1 0 is 10, right? So times 10. Okay, so then you're going to be doing just the opposite. So make your arrows come this way. Okay, so if you have a number and we're starting at the smallest unit and we want to go larger, you're just doing the opposite of multiplying. So here, you divide by 10. Going from centimeter to meter, divide by 100. Meter to kilometer, divide by 1,000. Okay? Remember this, memorize this, and you've got it made. You will be able to convert like a champ. Okay? So also, when we get to problems, maybe word problems or any kind of problem, and it wants you to go from kilometers and you want the answer in centimeters, think about, you can convert it to meters and then to centimeters, or you can think about how many zeros it has and do it that way. If we combine these two, this would have another 2 zeros. So 1, 2. So this would be 100,000. Or if they're wanting, this is very typical. If you're going from meters to millimeters, you would combine these two, and how many zeros? Put the 0 back on here. That would be 1,000. So going from meters to millimeters is times 1,000. Okay? So there's 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. Just like there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Okay? And we'll go over that. So just keep this handy. Keep this by you. Every time we go through our lessons this unit, keep this right next to you, and you can use it as a reference. Okay, so let's go down to our customary. So let's start with our mile. Mile is close to a kilometer. Mile. Yard. Foot. Inch. Okay? Mile, yard, foot, inch. Okay, so if we're going mile to yard to foot to inch. So we're going big to small. Again, what do? Do we multiply or divide? Good, we multiply. So there are we go times 1,760. See why metric is so much easier? You don't have to memorize this. And it's an odd number. I mean, okay, it's not an odd number. It's an even number. But it's not a number that's just like, 200. So times 1,760. Okay, so that means there are 1,760 yards in a mile. Okay? Yard to foot. Okay, there are 3 feet. There's 3 feet in 1 yard. So we go times 3. 3 feet in 1 yard. So the yardsticks we have, the big long ones at school, the yardsticks, you could put 3 regular rulers up to that, and it would be equal. Okay, so a ruler, 1 ruler is a foot. So 1 ruler is a foot. You would have 3 of those to equal a yardstick. Okay, then we're going to go from feet to inches. So foot to inch, we go times. Anyone know how many inches in 1 foot? How many inches are on our rulers? 12. Okay, so times 12. So there's 12 inches in 1 foot. Now we are, just going to do the opposite of that and divide. So going from inch to foot, divided by 12, foot to yard, divided by 3. Can you see that? Yep. Yard to mile, divided by 1,760. All right, so study that a little bit, because then next week on Monday we will be going over your review page there, and there's a lot of them on that review page. I'll do some of them on the review page, and then you'll finish and see what you come up with, and see if it's hard for you, difficult. And I will be setting up some Zoom times next week if you guys have any questions on converting length. We could also go back to fractions. If you have any questions on your fractions or anything that's been assigned so far, you can bring those to that Zoom meeting and you can ask me questions. So have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week.